Okay. Welcome to Overwatch, and welcome to something a little bit special today in Coaching the Many. Rather than doing a normal ranked game, this isn't actually ranked. Oh no, oh god no. No, as you can see in the top left corner, this is two six stacks fighting off against each other in a scrim. Specifically, it's the OAMongstMany six stack fighting against Overwatch-Central six stack. And so to represent Overwatch-Central, I've brought a friend in. Say hello, Ryan.
I'm an expert in all things Overwatch-Central.
Yeah.
Supposedly.
Yeah, considering he half runs Overwatch-Central. I think Miska's the brains.
Over the past couple of weeks, I've run this show.
Yeah, over the past couple of weeks,
couple of days.
Yeah, and as such, the quality has nosedived. No, just kidding.
Just
poor
the
Ryan.
Quality. Just
poor Ryan, because like Miska buggers off trying to move country like a selfish git, and then Orisa comes out and you get sort of left holding the bag.
This is why Brexit happened for moments like this.
Apparently,
but anyway, let's move swiftly on.
Is your six stack called Pachi-Central then?
I don't think so. The name that they had was Wrestle with Ryan, Prepare for Crying, but I think it was a bit too long.
They're dubbing themselves Pachi-Central now, which is interesting. Okay.
Oh, because they do the thing where everybody has a different
the same, yeah, like we did.
Yeah.
The copycats. Okay. So what we're going to do, the way that we're going to do this is Ryan can see my screen. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start us off on Labata's perspective, which is the main tank for OneAmongstMany. We're probably going to watch OneAmongstMany play first, and we're going to watch them play on Dorado. This is a very close game. It's a very interesting match. A lot of interesting things happen in it, so it should be fun to go over. I might bounce around between all the perspectives. I have literally 6 perspectives. Like, I have everyone's viewpoint available to me, should we so desire to go and look at it, so we might be doing that a bunch. And then after we're done with the OneAmongstMany, we're going to go swap perspective and look at Overwatch Central side of things, and that should give you guys a nice comparison of, like, have you ever had that experience where it feels like the enemy team is like this well-oiled machine and they all have their shit together and all have their plans and know what they're doing, all that kind of stuff? Well, it turns out both sides have moments of huge confusion. Still not live. People saying I'm live. People
refresh.
I think refresh LPB. I seem to be live according to me. Yeah. Okay. And yeah, no, the perspective we're going to be watching Overwatch Central is L Awesome Guy. Should be fun. Okay, let's get this running the show on the road. So if you're curious about the level of play, most of these players are around mid-diamond, yeah, I'd say the average is out about mid-diamond for the entire 6 stack. I guess, maybe.
Yeah, I'd
some
say
some players are about low master, mid master. Some players sort of high platinum. So it sort of has a broad area. Anyway, okay, so I'm gonna get rid of Twitch chat. Bye Twitch chat, and I'm gonna start the video. We're gonna quieten it down. Ryan can't hear anything. I will be talking a bit about comms as well as we start getting through this, because one of the things with 6 stacks, of course, is you can have control of all your comms. Now, naturally, we're on Dorado. We're starting in defensive position, and we're starting up here. And I think Ryan has his little pet peeve with this, where teams are starting up
we'll
here.
We'll see it when OWC defend this, but it's just...
We'll save it for then, shall we?
There's a very common trend that we'll go over a little bit more then, but just pay attention to how long that they stay up here.
I actually didn't turn on Epic Pen as well. I need to do that. Oh, I need my pen. I need my pen. I need to be able to draw penises all over the screen. There we go.
It's a little bit difficult to do on this one for a Reinhardt, but imagine that you're on Watchpoint Gibraltar. You can get a cheeky flame strike in on the spawn, and then cool down 6 seconds or whatever it is. Get another one. Yeah, fire in on that door if you can. If you don't catch anybody, it's not the end of the world. If it hits a wall, it's not the end of the world. It's just the fact that you try and get a little bit of charge in. You do another flame strike, which I imagine Labata would do there. It's a good opportunity to get one.
Oh. Right into the wall.
Screwed it up, that's fine. People do that.
Yep.
But then they want to be dropping off. I don't really know what she's doing here. It was probably a lot easier to flip around.
Yeah, that's a bit of a fancy move around. Like, you don't need to take the... Like, it's safer to just move with the rest of the team. Like, I don't mind this cheeky fire strike, but I want to point out, like, the correct thing to do is the barrier's going down, but the idea with this is that you can keep poking and nicking at their barrier constantly as they try and push around, and you give your barrier a chance to regenerate during this time when we're starting to move around. So it should be pretty straightforward. Bit of a shame that you missed fire strike there. And then during all this time, your barrier's recharging. Theirs shouldn't be. You should be having little things like Artie putting pressure here, people moving to the choke, just putting a bit of pressure. You're basically trying to seize an advantage with the Reinhardt barrier for the coming fight.
Yeah.
So that when they try to push through
charge
here,
as well.
yeah, when they push through here, then you have a big advantage. But now
Yeah, this fight on OWC's perspective is just a bit muddy. There's a really good push where they go around the right-hand side, which is nice
that's coming
and
up
tight.
later. Yeah.
But yeah, it's such an easy shot to hold. The amount of times that we've been held and we've held people on this choke in our own comp games, it's pretty tough. And because these are very, very meta teams, it's incredibly hard to break, especially if one Zarya can get more charged than the other.
I do want to
It
point
really
something
is
out
a sort
that
of toe-to-toe match between
Six
these two.
Amongst Many did really well here, which is they put pressure on from multiple angles. So I'm going to flip perspective. So we're at about, well, 326 on the Barter screen. So I'm going to go over here. This is my desktop. Say hello to my desktop. Let's go to, that's Clark, that's Miranda. Where are you, Artie? This is Artie. And I'm going to go on Artie's perspective because he was doing a lot of the poking around here. So I'm going to just go ahead. And you notice this is when the team was like repositioning. So we're a little bit ahead. Also much clearer. Artie clearly has a better PC. Artie, meanwhile, is getting like so much pressure over here and just deletes the Ana. This needs to be like called out big time. Like Artie shouldn't be able to get away with as much as he did here, basically, because he's just poking around. And while he's doing this, you also have Clark up on this side, just poking down and raining death from above. So basically, they have the threat of the mid, they have the threat of Clark, and they have the threat of Artie. And Soldier's looking at him, but this really needs to be sort of addressed because this is getting picked apart and, it's just...
Both supports are down in a couple of seconds. This is a good opportunity as well to, like, both supports are down. You could speed boost in and just get some easy picks off as well. Like, it's knowing... This is the thing about Reinhardt as well, which we'll go over for both Labata and Hansi, because as far as the teams went, the biggest weaknesses were in both the Reinhardts, I'd say. Both teams were really well, and this isn't like they were massive, clinks in the chain. It's just, I guess it's just easier for us to look at the Reinhardt perspective and be like, and ahhing about it, because these are, common mistakes that I make on a daily basis anyway. But the main thing is they have no disengage with Lucio, they have no anti-heal with Diana, so this is a good opportunity to speed boost in, especially with a Pharah in your team, to just go and get a couple more picks, get some more ult charge, and just get them on the back foot. You can be incredibly aggressive here on defense. But we'll see as well when OWC defend. It's both teams kind of play defensively rather passive considering the teams that they actually have.
Yeah, I want to point out as well, like, it's worth mentioning that Six Amongst Many aren't running a Lucio, they're running Mercy Ana. So they can't actually speed boost out. But, like, Hansi here, you might be very hard to make out on stream, but you can see he's got the two little things. He's got about 40 hit points here. So what you could try and do here is... You can still go aggressive on this. Like, there is no reason to not start going out and capitalizing this. Everyone is fully healed. Everyone is super healthy. It's the only person who's really sort of in trouble is Clark, because Clark is being fancy and like flanking all over the place. But you still have more than enough DPS to sort of force the issue and definitely scoop up a couple more kills. Artie does manage to secure the kill on Hansi, which is good. He's playing aggressive. He knows that he can be aggressive at the moment, and he starts to push forward. This is where you need a good, clear call, by the way. Like, if you listen to comms. I know Ryan can't hear this.
Get behind the shield.
But, like, the two supports are dead. This should be a call for a quick engage. And just, like, a quick poke out. Let's try and get one or two more, stagger some deaths, and buy a little bit more time to help secure a victory.
Pull back.
It's just really easy to punish in that situation.
Once the Reinhardt's dead, I'm fine with there was a call to pull back, by the way, which I'm fine with. Reinhardt needs to regenerate, all that good stuff. And they're not pushing without Reinhardt anyway, so that's good that they did get that kill.
Thank you.
Hey, Ryan.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a point?
I lost my train of thought with you saying that now.
I
Feels
apologize
bad,
deeply. I apologize deeply.
Oh yeah, it's high ground on this map is you don't need to have it, and we'll go over that when OWC attack as well, because they stayed up there far too long. Crossfire on this, and another good example is Gibraltar. These are fairly similar maps with the ways that they start, with having a high ground to sort of shoot off, and then you're dropping back into a choke. The crossfire is incredibly dangerous, but it's also rather risky if they spot it and call it out early. And if they're diving with a Winston or whatever, then you're in a lot of trouble. So, in your own ranked games, if you're playing Soldier or whatever, just don't necessarily risk it. Because if you get picked off quickly, then they can easily snowball the first point, which kind of sets the tone for the rest of the round as well.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to sort of stop that snowball at the start of a pure payload map, at least.
Yeah, I totally missed that because Ryan is a little bit crackly. That's probably my fault because I've got like 3 uploads running at the same time. I'm just going to look at this fight one more time. Like, the thing that happens here is that the barrier just goes down. There's like little moments like these where you can use it to rest. So when a Zarya barrier goes on you as Reinhardt, in tight chokes like this, what I like to do is just wedge myself right into this choke point and use the Zarya bubble as the Reinhardt barrier. And it just gives you a couple of seconds where you can put your barrier down, and so then it's not getting shot. That means it lasts a little bit longer, that kind of thing. But yeah, just like minor things. Barrier goes down, definitely don't let it break, because when it breaks, it still takes a little while to start regenerating, and you don't have it on demand. Let's say this guy somehow, let's say Hansi gets his ultimate, we wouldn't have any defense against it. Well, you just need 1 hit point of barrier to stop it coming through. Luckily, he doesn't get that, so we can just chase through. They all filter in nicely. We're not being too aggressive. We don't need to be too aggressive. Artie, meanwhile, this is actually one thing I actually really wanted to comment on, which is that the DPS on both rounds actually are kind of guilty on this, on both halves are kind of guilty on this. They weren't making good call-outs, so let's sort of see what Artie's doing during all this time. There's no call-out at any point that Artie makes where he's calling out that he's doing this kind of flanking. So when they start pushing back in, he's not letting people know that, you know, I'm going to visor them from the back, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it is important to make these calls when you're playing DPS because it structures how people are going to act on the front line. It structures and informs how people are going to do things. So this is good, shooting barrier, shooting barrier, shooting barrier. And then what Archie's going to do is he's going to go for a cheeky flank, especially because Clark gets messed up, needs to goes down. This would have been great to just say, yeah, I'm going to flank. Because this is a great flank. Like, this is great position, easy kill, no one sees him coming, no one spots him out, he can just stand there. They're getting pressure from the front, pressure from the back. This is easiest kills in the world. Why no rocket there? Why no rocket there?
I was waiting for that as well.
Yeah, why
it's
no
just
rocket?
really difficult for OWC to push through that, and every time I feel like they're going to lose the barrier wars in that fight as well. And having Zarya on the offense, constantly staggering, constantly dying, that's very little charge that you're getting. And as you can see, Jimmy's on fairly high charge. Not sure what charge he's on at the moment, but in
It's
moments
high
like this, it's just an easy stall, and they need to be a little bit more clever about dealing with this. They do have a nice flank, which we'll see in a moment, but the amount of time that it takes to go, actually, let's stop going center, let's go to high ground, it's about 20 to 30 seconds of doing nothing, really, whilst they're sort of talking amongst themselves to try and get it done.
Now, I want to point out, 152. Let's swap perspective again. Let's go to Clark. Clark, you have a very important job during this moment. So Labata just said in-game, they're going underneath, I think. So Labata's seen something that makes her think, okay, they're going underneath. They all vanished as well. You saw them all, like, they're nowhere to be seen. The enemy team cannot be found. So we need to know what they're doing, where they're coming from, how they're acting. Okay, Clark's coming back. Still coming back. So as the Farah, like, we are back at about the time that the call gets made.
If they push in, I should be able to get it.
They have now Genji.
They're going underneath.
Okay, this is the exact moment of the call. They're going underneath, I think. Clark, you should be making the... You can poke out. They don't have a Widowmaker. They don't have anything. As Farah, one of the things you can do quite safely is you can find an angle to poke through and just look and see what they're doing. Get that spotting information because you guys are suspicious. You know that they're up to something. Then they start coming this way. For some reason, though, the defense still stays over here. Like, Labata's still in position to defend this choke rather than repositioning to defend this choke. Like, you guys should be immediately repositioning when you know that they're doing this kind of thing.
Barrage is up.
Yeah, you did well to spot it out. It's just not.
It's just like there's no
reacting to it,
reaction to it. It's like we know
yeah,
they're doing
you
this.
just showed them a little bit too much respect here, and
Barrage.
the Earth Shatter that goes out, it doesn't actually.
Yeah, we'll look at
through.
Labata's Earth Shatter in a second.
But like, that happens in situations like that when it's like you could cut the tension with a knife because both Reinhardts have their ults and they're pushing into each other. In those situations where you have your ult and they don't, you can literally walk past Hansi. Same if Hansi knows that Labata doesn't have her ult, he could just walk straight past you, ult everybody behind, because they have a decision to make. They either keep their shield up and protect the damage coming in, or they turn around and try and deal with the stuff that's happening behind them.
So
But
what's
this
your
is it's just pressure, isn't it? Really, both shields are broken. It's a panic ult because your shield is gone. You wanted to get something done. It's easy for Hansi to clear up. That's why you don't want your shield to die, because you literally say to the enemy team, "My shield is broken."
we can't do anything now.
Yeah.
But like to me, the big reason why you guys lost this fight is pretty simple. It's that like So just the reaction to them getting there was super slow, and then when that did happen, we had like P. Clark just up on the high ground. He's not doing any damage to the barrier at all, while they're all just driving into yours. So they're all doing damage into the barrier. They're all hurting the barrier super badly. There's very little damage actually going onto the barrier while Clark's trying to get into position for his ultimate. If you did want to get a better position, I would actually suggest you probably could have like drifted around the back and come in and then drop down from behind. So then you're shooting across the entire enemy team. That might have worked a bit better. Like if you go around the back of the clock tower and then bomb down, that might have worked a little bit better. You did get one of the supports, but you didn't get anything else, which kind of sucks because we kind of just dropped down straight into the front and then we're just sort of in front of the enemy team rather than splitting their attention. That might have worked a little bit better. But Labata's just kind of in a lose-lose situation here. I think Ryan is right in saying that probably the best thing maybe to do in this situation is just try and run past to like just ult through, like, because you can't block this now. You can't do anything about this threat. So the only option we have is either we try and charge him, in which case he just ults, or we just go ballsy and we just run in and then we ult like up here. And if we hit this, then there's no follow-up. That's probably the only decision we can make.
One.
That's
also
really
look
hard
how
to
much damage you took by just ulting
Yeah.
as well. You know, so I think an important thing about Overwatch in itself is you need to know which fights you're going to lose. And I think you could sort of tell from that situation that it was going to be... It'd have to take a really good play to stop that from happening. So maybe just turn it around and go like, just don't waste anything. We can try and engage on the point and try and rush it. And this is another thing as well, like points of engagement on this map are incredibly difficult. But this is really good by OAM, setting up so far atop the bridge that they can, as soon as they get the point, they're raining hell from above on them already, instead of waiting for them to get closer to the second checkpoint.
Yeah, like
and from
this,
here, it's comfortable again for OAM's team for a while now.
It's like it was a nice clean call of disengage. We're not going to try and retake it. Let's just set up on the high ground, get ready for the next point, and win off the back of that. In terms of ultimate advantage, it's not too great at the moment, I imagine, for OAM, for, well, 6amongstMany. There might be a Zarya coming up, a Graviton Surge coming up, which is like the only saving grace. But other than that, it's not going to look great.
They didn't use res, did they?
No, they didn't. I think Mercy died very
Probably
early.
a good thing. It would have been good to have, but...
I'm not sure about this drop down. I'm not sure what drove this decision. Like, we're still in a good position here to fight this, and they're not getting too much ground. Like, they're still moving relatively slowly. They're still taking a lot of damage. We still have a lot of barrier ourselves, so we don't actually kind of need to meet them, and we don't need to stand this far back while doing so. So I'm not sure why we've dropped down here. I think we could have afforded to stay up top, and then we could have just dropped down pretty much straight on top of them when their barrier is getting low, and RT can be the cool dude up here, and, you know, he's, like, cramped up there, but he can be the cool dude up there, and he can have P. Clark floating around.
Yeah, dropping down and engaging onto the point is a common trend for both teams. Again, this is kind of what I meant at this, like, what I've been saying is there's a lot of knowing what positions you're meant to be in. For example, the start of the game, being on the high ground as you see in where everybody is at the start, and then moving back. You know that you should be there, but if I turned around and said, why are you up there? What are you meant to be doing up here? What is your like job? What is your role? It's kind of like there wouldn't necessarily be an answer.
I've been informed that Miranda fucked up and fell off.
Fell.
Yes. Don't fall off. So Labata dropped down to protect Miranda. Honestly, in this situation, Labata should have just stayed up top, and Miranda should have just run and got to high ground again.
Yeah, gone onto the high ground.
Don't stay here, just run and try and get back up to high ground. Because down here, like, you can't nano boost anyone, you can't heal anyone, you can only heal Labata. So as Ana, we're not doing anything when we're down here. Like, we're trying to shoot the enemy, we don't need to be shooting the enemy. We want people to do that for us.
And the shield's taking damage for no real reason.
Yeah. Now on the bright side, you have Grav, the enemy team doesn't. Good grenade, and hopefully this should be enough follow-up. Good Shadow.
Great.
That momentum. Not too keen on the nano boost on the Reinhardt, but that's just me. And we'll comment on that in a second.
A lot used there for basically not a team wipe. It was a fairly good... I think this was a point where I was watching Dom, an awesome guy, and he had a really nice engage as Lucio. Like, really nice, that he just sort of speed boosted out. And they couldn't do anything with that ult apart from the nano boosted pin, which instantly killed Hansi, I think.
Yeah.
But that's a really interesting perspective to go over for them as well, because you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah, I noticed that so much when, like, that ult combo came down for Overwatch Central's team. We're going to watch it from Artie's point of view. So yeah, like Miranda, if that happens to you again, you just drop down, fall out of position, get back to position as fast as possible. Because what you've done there is you've sacrificed Anna's usability, and then you've sacrificed Reinhardt's usefulness as well at the same time. Because then Reinhardt's just defending one person when he could be defending other stuff. Again, just setting up a crossfire. It's a little bit risky, it can pay off in spades. I think at this point it doesn't pay off. Definitely want to see more use out of the rocket. And yeah, you got to be very careful when like stuff like Genji's happening. And then that just feels bad, man. Okay, so Artie not even a part of this fight. We might just going to get back in time, maybe. Yeah, just barely gets back in time. Enemy soldiers actually taking high ground. Wow. Artie was really not a part of this.
Positioning was really good, match by match. Just sort of being able to stay together mostly as a team. It's just more ult call-outs and just knowing when to engage and disengage, I think, is the main thing as well. Like, there's a reason why I can't remember the last time I saw this map in the competitive. Like, I think the only thing that's on at the moment is Apex, and they avoid Dorado like the plague because it's not a particularly fun map to play on for the pros.
Yeah, the engage points on Dorado are like very clearly defined. This is definitely one of them. They're going to fine with the swinging. He tries to charge, easy ass shadow, managed to catch a shitload of people. It's a shame that Artie's dead here. It would have been perfect for the nano boost. Makes sense if Artie's not around, then yeah, nano boost is here. Nano boost in the right.
So dangerous for Hansi that he's on such little health when he tries to flame strike.
But yeah, that was risky, sorry.
And there we go. And then reset. Want to see a good, clean, fast reset, and so reason to stay here. The only danger with resetting here is the second they get on the payload, you want to drop down on them again. Like, you can't let them start getting around the bridge. So there we go. Also, by the way, you'll notice P. Clark's budgies constantly in the background, or cockatiel, or whatever it is that P. Clark owns, non-stop.
Is that the infamous cockatiel from yesterday?
No, that was Captain New Zealand. That was a different one. Different noisy bird, I'm sure.
Yeah, what's good here is, when on attack you'll see it from OWC's perspective, is how far up on the bridge that they're sort of attacking. You know that they don't have a Thara, they have a Genji who, unless he has a Death Wish, isn't going to jump up and try and do some damage to those on the ledge because there's so many of you there. But yeah, it's just nice and easy. It's really straightforward for 6 AM to just hold this here. It's so cut and dry that, again, OWC have to think outside the box to do it, but it took them so long to go, okay, this isn't working, we need to do something else. And each time that they've done that, they've been successful. But it's just wasting time, and I feel like it's OWC gifting 6 AM so much time here.
Yeah, well, the advantage, I mean, of this position is what you just saw there. The Reinhardt barrier is already dead, and also it's just a good firing angle. So if you take any damage, you just have to step back and you'll be healed up, while the enemy team has to move through a firing line to take any damage. So 6 AM are definitely getting the best out of that. If you're trying to get back to this point, by the way, the best thing to do is go under, and then just, like, that way you're avoiding as much damage as possible. But yeah, then we just have, like, a very clean engage. Genji tries to get up there, tries to block what he can, but it's not going to last. RT drops down, damage amp. No problem, easy kills. Does jump into the team, which is a little bit risky, but did it, getting 2 kills, so it's a fair enough trade, especially once the Lucio, so now the enemy team can't disengage very well, so Clark can go in, deal a lot of damage, and people can hunt stuff down. It's good. You guys have ultimate set up for the next fight. I want to listen to comms.
Alright, they're just engaging, reset.
So, okay, reset. And yeah, you guys just want to get back onto high ground. Good. So now the call's coming out to hear ultis, what's available, what isn't. You guys have barrage, so that's going to be the cornerstone of your next defense. You're also calling out what the enemy team has. That's very, very good. Make sure, like, especially when you're playing a 6-stack, definitely make sure to try and keep track of, you know, your counterpart's ultimate. So Labata's doing good there, keeping track of our shadow, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's integral for sure. Again, like I said earlier, if you have your F shot and you know that they don't have theirs, there is literally nothing really stopping you from just running past the Reinhardt and ulting everybody behind him.
Yep. So again, this is a case of where spotting becomes important, because, I mean, this is even more important with 6-stacks, because the pushes are going to come in like one big push. You notice, okay, this is where Ryan was talking about earlier, of like OWC seem to take forever to make decisions, basically, and it's one of their sort of biggest weaknesses, because they just vanish off the face of the fucking map forever. Like, but where are they? Where are they? Well, let's pretend we're Arty. What do we know? We know they aren't here. We know that they aren't in this area. We know they aren't pushing that way. They could be pushing around the side. They could be pushing. They could be all by spawn. This is where Farah, again, can be super useful in just scouting around. So you can go over the courthouse. You can look around because, spoiler alert, OWC are all huddled like over here. All in a big huddle. Just trying to figure out what they're going to do, what direction they're going to go, how they're going to approach it. And so, yeah, like,
Someone on the high ground.
it'll just, this little
Yeah,
bit
he's
more
spotting
information. Yeah, just this little bit more information means you know that they're going to be either coming through this way or this way, and you can position accordingly.
They're coming top, they're coming top.
Because right now, it's like, where's Labata? Where's
Yeah.
our tank?
That's the big issue there. As soon as Artie sort of looks forward, sees that nobody's there, he should be like, right, I've got to back off a little bit. This is exactly what OWC want. This is a really good up by Clark to just shut them down, stagger them again.
Yeah.
But it's like they had the high ground and then gave it up. They went for all that effort to flank round, nice push, literally threw 6 AM off the top, and then decided to drop down and stuff.
And then got pretty lucky, I would say, with Metabrit picking up like a 6k on the back of like 2 ults and managing to find the Mercy. Like, this was a stroke of, I don't want to call it luck, but it was very, very unlikely to happen if 6 AM react appropriately. Like, they basically lost a 3 versus 6, which shouldn't happen. How to react to this? Actually, well, they used 3 ults to get it, so hey, feels pretty good, man. But it's the location of the Mercy first as well, which is the big problem. Then just not enough shutting Metabrit down so he kills everyone. Feels bad, man. I want to see P. Clark's ult, because that was honestly a beautiful ult as well, so let's look at
It
that.
was a really good shield as well by Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy's shield made it work.
Sorry.
It absolutely made it work.
It was perfectly done. This whole defense was just really good. Both teams played really well, to be fair. There's a really good...
Yeah, it's
sort
a
of
really
point
good match.
where It's to the wire. I won't reveal sort of the scores overall, but certainly on the payload maps, 6 AM were just a lot stronger. And it's just more OWC's inability to react quickly to problems that they're having. They know what to do, it's just there's that communication to actually be like, right, we need to not do this, we need to change this up.
Yeah, it feels like me and Brian both agree that it feels like the OWC team has a higher individual skill player for player across the board. But 6amongstMany is a lot stronger at the team play aspect. Like, you guys are just, you're reacting faster, you're moving faster, you're making plans faster, and it's paying off. And then you just get stuff like this happening where 1 or 2 people sync up properly, and then just easy kills. Because
the issue as well is this just took so long. They were up there, and it was like they kind of forgot that there was a Pharaoh on the enemy team. That it was just like, oh, we can stretch out our legs. We've got the high ground now. We can relax a little bit, not knowing that Clark could just come up and ult you. This is something as a Lucia player, especially, that is like, 1, the high ground. We need to push. We need to engage. We can't stay up here forever. In fact, we can't really stay up here at all. We need to push hard now. So that speed boost should have come in. It was just a little bit lackadaisical, I think is the only really word that I can describe it with. It was just so casual, like, oh, on the high ground now, whereas they should be absolutely pouncing on them. 6 AM could just back off. They give up the high ground, sure, but they were all together, they all survived, and they could all cope with it up until Meta decided to just kill everyone.
yeah, I want to highlight, so it's 1 minute 13 on the clock since like this was the battle before. And then let's see how long until the next engagement. So 15 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, about 30, 35 seconds until the next engagement happens. So yeah, and a lot of that time, like when we get to see Overwatch-Central's perspective, you can see that it's just not well-used time. Like, the movement is slow, the plans are slow. Just tighten that up. You've got to have decisive shot calling. You've just got to make a call and make a decision. And if you've tried something twice and it hasn't worked, then changing it up is a good idea. A very, very good idea. It's just... You're wasting time, and time is precious in Overwatch. It's super, super precious. It's like what you're mostly fighting over is time and space. And yeah, it basically encompasses all of reality as well. Time and space. And then this is just... Oh, and then we know what happens next. Metabrit just outplays everyone. They use 3 ults, get the kills.
Really good disengage by Clark there.
Yeah.
He just knows that, like, you can't give that up. There's another thing on OWC's attack, which you see now. There's 5 people on the payload, sure, there's like 20 seconds to go. But when they actually got those team kills, for the first point especially, nobody pushed forward. Nobody was aggressive they had time for people to get up on the high ground. Even if it's meta just sitting up there as Genji is going to make people, like, say if the Ana got up there first, they're going to give up that high ground in that situation. They put too much emphasis on getting the payload there, that there were like 5 or 6 people on it at once.
Yeah.
That in time that they could be much more aggressive. Like, we had a game where we were playing as a 6-stack on King's Row, where we got absolutely, completely destroyed because they took the point of King's Row and then they were already at our throats midway through the street.
Yeah, they just pushed and pushed and pushed and pushed. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And they had
by
2
the
people
time
in the
it took for
payload.
it to react, it was midway through the final point. And it's just stuff like that. Like, you've won that fight tooth and nail for every bit of ground that you can get. Because if you were quick enough, you could have taken the high ground off them at the start of point 2, which would have stopped all of this from happening.
I don't know about that. I think OneAmongstMany retreated early enough where taking second point would have been like trying to muscle for the high ground, because if you remember, it was basically like one fight at the choke point on first point, and then OneAmongstMany just said, no, okay, just set up second point. So I think that clean of a disengage would have made it hard, but it's still a valid point to make.
I think it's something to just bear in mind in your unranked games. Like, it's good to get the point, but it's not a chance for you to, like, breathe, that's it. Like, we got the point, let's just have a bit of a break. Like, no, you want to be trying to catch people out of late spawns. Gibraltar is incredibly good for this because they have the spawns just by the shuttle. You just have all of these situations where you want to be pushing ahead, at least looking forward to knowing where people are trying to set up and where people are trying to go for, instead of having 5 people on the payload. You barely even need 3 in those situations. But certainly, at the start of this point, everybody was on it and everybody was all set up, and it was just easy for 6 a.m. to just throw damage at them, and this is basically what ended up happening.
Yeah, I just want to highlight one thing.
Challenge the Ryan.
I think Labata says it about
Push 'em,
now.
There are only 3.
So RT calls for a push, and yeah, and Labata quite rightly says, just watch for Earth Shatter. If you're watching for Earth Shatter, why have you dropped your barrier?
Oh shit.
I just want to point this out.
I'm at the back.
You probably I think you realized it like a split second afterwards that was a little bit of a whoopsie, but yeah, just if you know that they have Earth Shatter and you're scared about Earth Shatter, there's no reason to drop that barrier.
Yeah, damn it.
And in that case, yeah, I mean that was 3 ultimates, so
Yeah, but it was
it's still like a difficult combo to get past, no matter what happens.
This is really clever, just going straight for the high ground. Again, they know how important getting the high ground early is. You've got toys poking damage in there. You've got 4 people on the payload out of fear, I feel, more often than not. Just because they want to, they know that each like meter counts in this point. I think they're knowing that they're going to struggle to get the point all the way to the end. This is resilient defending from 6 a.m. to not have the urge to just drop down. Apart from now is a great opportunity, great way to engage with that ult, especially.
Sorry, down.
But again, grab's a difficult one because
Yep, I'm on him.
it could have been used with another ult, I think, especially.
Below.
Where is he?
And because there was like a minute on the clock when it was used, you can wait. You can be a little bit more patient there. You were winning that fight. They were gradually being burnt down. This could have just been used for clear up when it went into overtime.
I do want to point out, just as a Dorado thing, and I think this does get pointed out by by OWC's team. If you stand right on the edge here, you actually contest the payload when it goes up. Oh, excuse me, when it goes under. So you can actually hold this high ground for actually a very, very long time. This is usually where you want to be dropping down, though. So basically, as they push through here, so basically, okay, let's go over Dorado 101. The way I view this point is you are literally just trying to get the payload to here. When the payload gets to here, that's when you start pushing this way, because this is where you actually want to win and have your fights. This, when you're moving into this space, this is just a bad area to be in. You don't want to be down here. Because it's just, you're getting shot at from every angle. You have like 2 different places you can be engaged on. Someone can get tricky and come all the way around the back. It's just very, very bad news. So you want to get the payload to this corner, and then you want to push here, and then when you win the fight, you can go and push around the corner and win, hopefully. Just like a very quick thing on Dorado. Otherwise, got calls for ults.
You can also charge that as you're dropping. Charging straight into that would have been good.
Lucio down.
I'm so
Just a nice, easy kill.
Sorry down.
It's a good job not using any other abilities, really. It's a shame that you got slept that you couldn't join in on the fun.
Yeah.
It was good that Nano Boost was used again, but certainly when you have a Grav and a Pharah, you want to be using those two together. You've got a Soldier and a Nano Boost. Like, that's, basic ult economy. You don't need to use any more ults than that, unless it's at the end of the game, in which
30
case,
seconds, guys.
use everything. Use a sound barrier, even if you, just res one person that's died if it's at the end of the game. It doesn't really count.
We got the rest.
I want to point
Unless
out,
it's, stop pushing for overtime.
P. Clark just mentioned, it's 30 seconds, guys. It's 30 seconds, so that's a good call for you guys. And then I think, Labada did a good job as well of mentioning that she has Earthshadow already. So that basically sets up 6 a.m. into a really easy victory condition. Because they have to come up here to fight you guys on the high ground. They're going to push this route. This is standard as standard could be. You can see them coming through the windows. RTP Clark should be spotting this doorway. So you can see them all coming in because it's all made out of glass. I don't want to save a screenshot. I want to delete what I've drawn. Thank you. And so they all push in. They come up. And that gives you guys the easiest victory condition in the world. Break the barrier, and then they all coming through, and then we just Earthshadow. And this is our win condition now.
I think they're coming top.
And it's...
It's worth adding in this fight, if you look in the right corner, Lucio's on the point.
Yep.
Now I can understand why, because there's so little time on it, but you need Lucio in that fight because of line of sight. Now he's back into it and it's just far too late, really.
Yeah.
This is one of those examples of, they know that they need to drop onto the point soon, but somebody breaking off and moving it, especially a Lucio, it shouldn't be his job to do it. Maybe somebody like a Genji that could jump up if needs be, but you want your Lucio in the fight there, and you also need to realize how much of a short choke that this is.
How is he not pinned? How is he not pinned here? Oh God, Ryan! Just hashtag just Reinhardt things, right?
Wasn't this fixed with bugs on the PTR that this is less likely to happen?
I think this is before the Mercy change came in. It's before. I think this is pre-Bastion patch. This scrim. Yeah, that feels so bad. Luckily, during all this time, their Reinhardt gets killed, and then Grenade comes in, kills 2 people. All their DPS are already dead. It's just too little, too late now. There's enough people alive, and this team lineup has so much healing that if you're not able to burst people down anymore, it's just never going to happen. Especially if Mercy's up. Don't know if Mercy has res, doesn't matter at this point. His round's complete. And like Ryan was saying, the Lucio made the call specifically to go and stand on the point, and well, we'll see how that worked. We'll see how that worked out for them.
Seeing it from Dom's perspective is triggering.
Actually,
you should be there. It should be somebody else.
Let's actually watch their offensive, and then we can swap sides again. So this is the offensive from OWC's team. This is El Awesome Guy. Is that Dom? Is this man named Dom?
Just El Awesome, I don't know. The username, man. El Awesome Guy.
We'll call him Dom then. So Dom here is also going to be Shotcalling as well. He's got a very good voice for Shotcalling as well. It's very calming, very easy to listen.
He's very good at it. I will give him that. He made some really good calls, and he called out on the team a lot, basically being like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Because you made a really good point. It's like the DPS with Meta and Toy are solo queuing.
Yes.
They just tunnel vision so much, concentrate on what they're trying to do. When they have the opportunity for amazing team plays, there are a couple of instances where Toy ulted on his own, which he could have had a nano boost spot. And again, Genji with a Grav. These are really straightforward synergies. Reinhardt ult is good at either just shutting people down in a team fight, but also, again, shutting down something like a nano Genji or a nano boosted soldier. It's great for just being like, nope, we're not dealing with that today.
I've paused here for a very specific reason. So remember at the start we were talking about Labata could fire strike down? Well, a rocket does land. Metabrit is on about 80, 85, 90 hit points. If that fire strike hits him, it's an instant death. So
this was a rocket from RT.
Yeah, that was a rocket coming in. A little bit of extra damage could have made all the difference. So don't ever, it feels like OWC were completely unexpected. Oh, no, I think it's Clark just spamming from above. But don't ever underestimate the ability to just fire down at the spawn door. You can pick people
easily.
Off. Okay.
There's just this over-eagerness. This is what I have a problem as well with Hansi. You have, if you just pause here, you have the payload, which heals you, is your, you know, objective, but also is a infinite shield, and it's bloody massive.
Let's try and find a keyframe.
There's absolutely no point standing in front protecting your shield when you could be stood behind the payload and using that as cover.
Yeah, image is like mud, but it'll do. Yeah, there's no reason to be this far forward at this point. Just use the payload. Use it for cover. Your objective right now, like the objective that should be in your mind, is I want to get to like over here with as much shield as I humanly can and have no one die in the process. And even if someone does die, honestly, it's not the end of the world as long as the payload makes it to that choke point. Because then they have to make a lot of difficult decisions about trying to, like if they stay up here, then it's very easy to force them off and take a huge amount of momentum. And they have to come around and face you on that side. So you're just trying to move as far forward as possible.
Yeah, and look how much damage your shield has already taken, and you've barely had time to come around this corner. You know, Dom's got the right idea here to just use it as protection. I never like it when people stand on the payload because it's difficult to shield them.
Yeah.
But this is just shield management. There's probably a time that you wanted to sort of have the shield up and do it, but because it had taken so much damage, you were resting it. So you are always going to be taking damage as a Reinhardt. You need to decide whether you're going to take it preemptively. It's like a Zarya shield. I literally have a video going over comparing a game that I had on Watch Point Gibraltar versus a game that Numlot sent for the Master Reinhardt vid a while ago. And I thought, oh, let's compare the two. Let's see what he does compared to my useless ass. And the main thing was, first point on Gibraltar, comes around the corner, takes a teeny tiny bit of damage, just takes it, gives the Ana some ult charge, stuff like that. And then where you are about now, that's when you bring that shield up for the first time. 2000 HP, you should be able to get around this corner pretty easily, but because of how much damage it's taken, you're resting it. And this kind of allows Dom to just die in this situation.
Yeah.
And he's sort of... You should be tight to the wall in that situation because they have a Pharah. That you can't be caught in no man's land.
Yeah, is this the video or is it just me? I think it's the video.
It's crap bit rate.
Okay, yeah.
It's pretty...
So we're going to be under the sea during this for all large periods of it. But hey. And now
That's
we're...
a ballsy charge.
Yeah.
That's more of a, my shield is dying, I'm low on health, I need to do something. You don't. Just dying in that situation is fine. Because you had Dom getting back into that situation. You know, as soon as he gets back, you just like roll over and die.
This to me feels like basically both supports have died. The push is done. Like you are not gonna make progress. The best you can get a pick, so you cannot be this far forward. You've got to start tucking away. You've got to start backing up. This is when we are telling OWC, we were telling one of the 6amongstMany team, like this is when you push out, you push out, you push out. Same is true for OWC. Both supports are dead. This is when you back the fuck away because at best you're going to get a pick, which does happen, and that can happen with Soldier stood back here, stood over here, where like in areas where he can just sort of start tucking away. He has a lot of options where he can stand, and he can still get that pick of P. Clark just, you know, popping over a bit too aggressively without the team with him, and then he just gets sort of killed around here, I think, and then he just, you know, drops out the air. Yeah, there's just no need to be this far forward and still taking barrier damage. This is a good chance to just take a break, take a breather, recharge your barrier, and get ready for the next push. Because then what happens is the Reinhardt dies.
Labata and Hansi are actually here. Reinhardt is the most stressful character to play in the game. Easily, because you have so, like, if you screw up, people die easily.
And it's very obvious as well.
Stuff, but, like, you have to have that confidence to dictate the match. You have the shot callers in usually the supports. But as a Reinhardt, you need to go, right, we're going now.
I just want to shout at your friend Dom as well for a second. 2 people on half health. Lucio, ultimate, takes forever to build up in current climate. You deal very low damage. Your healing is like outshone by Ana. If you can scrap up any healing, take it. There's no reason to be on speed here. Heal these guys up. Steal as much healing for yourself because you want to get sound barrier built up as fast as possible.
Basically, both tanks are doing fine. It's a very difficult hero to play. Probably the most difficult hero to play out of the 6 that are on each team. But there's a lot more to bear in mind. That's the thing with Reinhardt. There's much more about the hero than initially is let on.
Yeah, and I'd also say like the reason why it's very easy to also like drill down on Reinhardt's mistakes is they are when Reinhardt makes mistakes, they are very obvious. It's not like, you know, Ana. To raise a point, if you watched my stream earlier today, I was dueling a Genji as Symmetra, and Ana shot the Genji instead of shooting me as a Symmetra, and I think that was one of the worst mistakes she could have made. Because then the Genji just right-click spammed into my core repeatedly, just kept body-shotting me, and then I died. Well, if Ana healed me, then Genji keeps body shotting me, I survive, I kill Genji. And that mistake just snowballed a bunch of things out of control. It was already like a stressful loss match anyway, but still. Like that one mistake, but it's such a small mistake. It's such a tiny mistake. It's very hard to pick up on that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, you've got a Reinhardt main and somebody that's, you know, Master Reinhardt as well. So it's fairly easy for me to spot it because I do it enough myself.
Yeah.
And you can make constant mistakes as a Reinhardt and still play really well. A good example is the Hollywood game that we had, our last placement game. I used it for footage for a video, and it was full of comments saying, like, this Reinhardt game is awful. And whilst we made a lot of mistakes, sure, we played really well because we played aggressive and we played at them. And on Hollywood, that's really hard to do. You know, you can still make a lot of mistakes. It can look pretty ugly, but you can still play pretty well. That's the difficult thing to sort of gauge with Reinhardt.
Just want to listen. I'm going to listen very carefully here. Sorry, I want to hear the call that happens when purple happens.
We can try and push it a little bit. Okay, we're anti-heal.
Like, so the Ana announces that we're anti-healed. There should be a reaction call upon that. Just giving, like, people know that they're anti-healed, or at least 3 people or 4 people know that they're anti-healed. What they don't know is what to do. Like, Hansy's still going forward. Hansy's still going in. He still thinks the push is happening. Now would be a good time to just stop, use the payload for cover, because you are not going to be pushing in while you're anti-healed. You want to just stop, take a little bit of a breather, and then re-heal up very quickly, like save your amp, or just use your amp to speed boost, which is fine, just to pull yourself out, and then just heal back up, and then go for the push. Because also you've got a kill here, so now there's an opening. So then once that wears away, the correct call comes out of let's go, and then instantly the call of back out happens, because no one was spotting for RT. RT just flanks, gets a bunch of kills, and then push is done.
Another thing about the Reinhardt thing as well, with what I was saying earlier, is deciding when to put the shield up. It's like a Zarya shield in that sense. You don't want to use it preemptively. You don't want to take damage on it and not have anything to show for it. Just the thing about keeping your shield up in situations, and this is just a common thing that a lot of people do, putting it up right at the choke, taking a lot of damage. When it's dead, you have no shield to protect from the abilities that will kill your team, as opposed to a Zarya right-clicking, a soldier just shooting down the choke, whatever. You need to be able to be confident enough to take a little bit of damage, because you know, I need to save the shield for the nano soldier that's probably going to come out and stuff like that. So there are a lot of situations where you're holding your shield up so much, scared of the damage, and then once the shield drop, then the real damage starts, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's a fair thing. You don't want to take damage as a Reinhardt. I get that. I do it all of the time. You have to sort of trust in your supports, and you also need to trust in your Zaryas as well. They need to be picking up the slack when it's like, right, I'm going to drop my shield. The Zarya should be rubbing her hands going, nice. Because people will shoot the Reinhardt anyway.
Yes. Between
a Reinhardt and a Lucio, people will shoot the Reinhardt because it's like, no Reinhardt, no shield sort of thing. But really, there should be... It's just a really perception thing. That's what Numlock told me. So, you know, must be true. That it's just... If you drop the shield as a Reinhardt, people will start shooting you instead. Because like, oh, we can stop the Reinhardt shield altogether. So, you are a tank. Without your shield, you still take a lot of damage. And that's okay. That's fine. Just don't constantly have your shield up, trying to stop all the damage coming in. Because what that does is, when me and Josh will play, is we'll go, burn that shield, we can clear up once that's down. And it's so easy to do. So it's feigning that. And also, what the point I was originally going to make is, if you had that shield up and healthy, you could have easily caught that Ana nade. The things you want to be catching with a shield at least is Ana nade, hog hook, sleep dart.
Okay.
They're the 3 abilities as a Reinhardt you want to constantly be keeping track of. And this is on the King's Row game for Hansi. You were constantly caught out by the hog hook, and that's a very difficult thing to do. I constantly get screwed by it. So they're the 3 abilities that you definitely want to make sure that you have your shield up. Everything else, you can take a little bit of damage. It's fine. End of run.
Okay. Next point. Regrouping the team. Like, there's very clear spotting here, so Dom can see very clearly what's happening out here. For some reason, Sonority, the Ana just gets very scared to come back, and this is just killing time. This is just wasting time. And the Ana is afraid to push out, and shouldn't be. There's spotting happening. The team can see everything that's happening. The Ana just needs to get in gear and come back. Because right now what's happening in comms is they're coming up with a plan saying, we're going to just go underneath and we're going to take the high ground and we're going to push down. But it takes so long to execute the plan because of stuff like this. This is just time that is like Six Amongst Many is just going, easy defense. Like, you know, the last push is still done. It's 217, 216, 240, let's compared, 210, so 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Now we're starting to push. It's like 15 seconds later of just wasted time.
Like the choke is a really bad position to fight on that. So we take
Then the team does start getting together. This is when Six Amongst Many should be thinking something's up. We need to be repositioning accordingly. That doesn't happen, especially when Metabrit like starts spamming down here. That's a definite sign that hey, there's stuff happening here. We really got to reposition. For example, Mercy then gets spotted, trying to run away. Okay, now the reposition happens, and then we have the story from the other team.
I'm slept.
Yep. So do I.
So our Shadow Call gets out, gets blocked. Barrage happens. We don't really get a good view on it, but it just gets spotted out immediately by Toy Killed, I think, and just shot and killed.
Mercy.
Team starts cleaning up. Honestly, I'm not too happy with just moving on to the payload here. While I do like the fact that the payload is moving during a fight, when you see this as a Lucio, like it's easier to see when you're actually behind a wall, because it's like everyone is like this is healing for Lucio to take care of.
Mercy.
Right? This is where Lucio is ideal.
I'm pushing.
Got Mercy, nice.
Push.
So we should be cleaning that up, and we should be picking that up.
Yeah, this is exactly what Dom. Oh yeah, sorry.
Follow me. Pyro.
And yeah. Metabrit called the Earth Shadow? Yes, you did. You knew it was coming. Or you knew that they had one, at least. And then Hansi, or whatever he's called, no. Hansi, not Hansi. Knew.
There we go.
You're not muted.
What I was going to say is, you know, this is something that Dom constantly does on match, puts too much emphasis on moving the payload, hence why they lost that final engage at the end as well. In situations where it's like, nobody really likes to do this in ranked play either, just pushing ahead of the payload, clearing stuff out, and then coming back to get it. It's constantly like, we need to move it as much as possible, we need to get every inch. Sometimes just pushing ahead, taking the ground ahead of you, and taking the fight, killing stuff in the mid ground whilst the payload is constantly moving. The issue with fighting on the payload is that it gets contested, it gets stopped, it staggers constantly, whereas if you're fighting ahead of it, somebody's on the payload still, it's moving whilst you're sort of fighting for that space.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, moving the payload is important. It's like, it is the objective of the game. But there is a point of diminishing returns where someone can be a very high impact in the fight, and they do not want to be leaving it. This is one thing I want to point out as we're going forward. So it's pretty simple in terms of like how things are going forward. 1 second. Okay. So payload is moving forward, everything's moving forward, hunky dory, it's just fine, it's fine. Shooting. And we have comms, we have people talking about stuff, you know, we know about the assassination that's happened on Artie.
Continue pushing, but yeah, try and take
just listen.
Under the underpass. I have ults.
Okay, we got some calls, we got some information.
Alright, if we can get a DPS ult going, then we can combo with
Why can I hear a pin drop? Like, why is there nothing called?
What makes it worse is that an ult was used whilst nothing was said.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm going to use this.
Yeah.
It's better than
It's
automatically going, shit, we need to... Oh, you didn't. So in that case, it was probably better to just die. Just to be like, okay, they used a lot there. If you had sort of saw that coming to an extent, you know, 3-4 ults were here, like we used here, and
it takes
just not. You could have just avoided using the sound barrier and be like, "Oh, we could just die. It's fine. Disengage. Try and get out there if you can. Otherwise, just die. It's fine." They used a lot there.
Yeah, and the payload got fairly far. It got far enough to where you can afford to start fighting for the high ground and then very easily move and transition to pushing the payload. And there's no big concern with that. There was a point there where you could easily just burn it and then try for a different angle. It's surreal to me that a team of 6 people working together who know each other say nothing during a team fight. There should have been some kind of coordination, some kind of order given, something that just says, hey, this is happening, we're going to do this, we're reacting to it by doing this, like that kind of stuff. Otherwise, yeah, we've got the re-engaged meta Brits poking on high ground. Good. This is, you also just want to be keeping an eye on the enemy team, what they've got available, what they're trying to do. I don't like the fact that, like, why are we looking forward? I mean, I know that we're, like, looking through a blurry mess at the moment, but we should, like, why aren't we looking at the enemy team? Why aren't we just keeping an eye on what they're doing? It'll inform so many of our decisions. We're still not looking at the enemy team. Correct decision in terms of like positioning, like we want to be positioning where they can't shoot at us, while we can still get purchased on the payload a little bit. If we're trying to push through main especially, you want to be tucking in underneath so they have a difficult time. A little bit unfortunate that RT drops down, hunts us down, kills us.
Yeah. Again, there, Hansi's got his shield up in the air and there's nobody really behind him protecting it. That he could have just sort of saved it here.
Okay,
It was just a bit of a mess, really. In that situation where you've disengaged off the point because they used ults and bullied you off of it, it's not recommended to just try and take it back that way as well.
Yeah.
What you should have done is the right hand side take that you did.
Let's go
And again, it's
take the
just
high ground.
piss ass in a belt. That's the only real way I can describe it. It's just this constant like, we need to get on the payload. We need to like, what's the closest route to the payload? We need to get on the payload now. It's like,
And I want to mention,
you need to make the ground for like, you need to push ahead first before you can take that ground.
I do want to point out, Anna did say, let's go right and take the high ground. Like, why has no one responded to that? Why has no one listened to that? Why has no one said, no, let's do this, or okay, we're going to do that. We just suddenly decided to just push straight in. And the only way, by the way, if you are trying to do a straight take, you've got to do it with ults in mind. Like, you have to have Graviton Surge, like Gravitoning this corner. So
Something more with verticality than just a Genji.
Yeah, like
You
you
need
need
to
to
on your team, then by all means, but you don't. So you've got to know what kind of team that you have. You've got a little bit of poke damage, but overall you're kind of death balling. You need to take the fight to them and not hope that they're going to drop down and fight you, because they won't. They don't need to.
Yeah, they can take their time. They can take their sweet ass time and then do 360 tactical visor no scopes, which RT does eventually. The only time that you can really do this, if you put a grav here, then maybe you can pull them in, then Genji can try and clean them all up, but that's still very risky. I'd say that's the only way that you win this fight, and that has to be your plan going in, rather than just, oh, we're just going to muscle our way onto the payload, into a Pharah, into a Soldier 76 on high ground, with Anna Mercy supporting. It's just a nightmare. Like, you are just getting smashed constantly, and you cannot challenge them in the slightest. Because then RT just ults, he drops down, he's got damage boost, he just kills everyone, and yeah, feels bad, man. And I think he even watches the kill cam just to see what happens, and yeah, RT drops down.
Okay, when it needs to like.
It's good information to get.
Next fight.
Yep.
Fight them.
Yeah.
Okay,
We have
like,
take
Actually,
this
use
is,
ults next
when you're
fight.
dead, that, by the way, like, whenever you press tab like this, especially if you are the Lucio player and you're doing shot calling, now's a very good time to take stock and just think, okay, well, what's our next engagement plan? Well, we've got, like, these three ults, and this is, like, they actually go ahead and do this themselves, basically, or at least these three go ahead and sort of take
we have to
initiative.
take the high ground.
Yeah, if
Let's
you
go
haven't
right
watched the
side
video
on top.
already,
Like,
Luddy does a really good video on shot calling. Luddy or Lud, I don't know how to pronounce his name.
I think it is Luddy.
Yeah.
Medical-sized brother.
Yeah, and he does a phenomenal job of calling out. And he says, he has text come up on screen, say like what he's looking for when he's looking at the screen, and this sort of stuff. This is a really good strategy. You've got speed boost. Make sure the Reinhardt goes in front. This is what I mean. You want to be like, again, this is where are we going? Like that this way, straight. Speed boost in, engage, push ahead. This is just taking too long, and you know you've got Pyro pushing ahead to get charge when really they should be looking for a Pharah.
Okay, so I called out 6 AM scouting, right? They didn't see this coming. They don't know this is coming. What you want to do with Lucio's speed boost and engagement, you want to minimize the amount of time they have between I can shoot you to, oh my god, they're in my face, I'm dying. Ah! Like, you want to minimize that time. That's why speed boost is so powerful, because it reduces the amount of time they can do that. And if the enemy team can't run, they don't have a Lucio themselves. The second we are here, why aren't we speed boosting? We're going through a tight choke point. We're obvious in we're obvious in the direction we're going now. We should be speed boosting. We should be speed boosting at the moment.
I can boot some of them off.
Like this is a prime example. You want to make sure that Hansi's in swinging position, or at least taking that high ground to the door. Standing here is like, yeah, you've got the high ground, now what? And this is allowed to happen. Pyro sort of sat a bit too far up because he's trying to get Chad to try to put pressure.
Watch out!
Whereas,
Gosh, you got shielded.
like, you should have known that this was on the cards and this was coming.
And it's not like P Clark comes from an unexpected angle either. This is, so what I would have liked to see here is you push out, you take here and you realize, oh, they've dropped down. And then you just kind of go, oh, well, we have the high ground now. You know, it's, you know, look at me, I'm the high ground now. Like, you can just set up here.
You're not Obi-Wan Kenobi in this situation.
And you could just shoot. Yeah, it's over, Anakin. I have the high ground. Oh, wait, no, they have a Farah. She has a rocket pack. But Farah literally just fucking flies at your faces. Like, someone should call Farah's coming in. That's probably an ult. And the people who can see it is this person, this person, this person, this person. Metabrit could be somewhere, could probably see it. Like, everyone could see this coming. Why was the Lucio the person to call out that the Farah is jumping into us?
Should I jump down and
We
keep...
still need to focus on the payload.
Watch out!
Like,
Ah,
communication-wise, Dom did a really good job throughout. Like, I think out of all of the players that I watched, he was the one that impressed me the most. And considering it's like Lucio play, I wasn't sort of expecting it. But it is just like really solid calls. And really, this is where Meta and Toy and Pyro and basically everybody on the team that isn't really Ana should be calling out where people are. And there wasn't really enough of that. Now, this is just, you know,
Yeah, this
is
is...
like technically gifted. Like, Meta is incredibly good on Genji. Maybe probably should have played Genji from the start. Going toe to toe on Pharaoh, which isn't his strongest hero, versus P. Clark, who is on one of his strongest heroes. It's like very difficult.
Yeah, this was just a good use of 3 ultimates.
But this again, like, this is where you know that you don't have much time. You should be much more aggressive here and pushing it. But instead, you got 5 people on it, almost sort of scared to push through. It's just such a slow, gradual, glacial pace that you have much more gifted players. You've got Nanovisor on the cards, and you should be much more in their face. You can't let them get comfortable, because that's what you did for point 1 and point 2. Doing it on point 3 will lose you the game.
You don't
so you need to be in their face much more.
You don't need
this
5
is the opportunity
people.
People should be going forward.
You could probably send 3 people forward at this point and have no problem with it. And you could probably be contesting the high ground, making it difficult for them to get there. Because if they respawn from this fight, they have to go all the way around and up, all the way up here, and they're going to get there eventually. They come out this door, like the low ground down here, they have to go up some stairs, and then they join this path, and they have to go all the way around and up more stairs, and then they're there. You guys can actually cut them off. We have speed. We have Lucio speed, we have a Soldier 76, we have a Genji. We can get there so fast if we just go like the direct route. And we can start contesting. Yeah.
You have charge now, you are wasting it. And it's going to be very difficult to get charge again. So you want to be right in their door, taking a little bit of damage, just making sure that they're not comfortable. And if you're on the corner and you see that the Zarya is on the low ground and she's on her own, I don't know if he was there, I just saw it through the projectiles, you should be completely jumping on it there. If there's a player around that corner that's on her own, that may have spawned late from these spawns for the second point, you want to make sure that you're killing that.
It's just like Gibraltar. Like, this point is notorious for it, where you just get a bad spawn, and then where you spawn, you're just running out into the enemy team. It feels bad, man. Again, this is where you... Like, this is a burner, and it was rightly called by Dom that...
Zarya will definitely...
Like, Zarya will definitely have Graviton. So you know it's coming.
Like that.
And this is where... Again, there's nothing.
More than this.
There's nothing. Why isn't there a call? Why isn't there a plan laid out for the fight of, okay, are we Graviton? What are we doing? Are we burning? Are we fighting? Do I use ults? What do I do? Like, this should be the prime opportunity for the Lucio to say, burn, burn, burn. Like, this is a burner fight. This is, you let it go, you let them use their ultimates. They've used resources, okay, fine. We'll give it up, and we'll try and win the next fight. 40 seconds on the clock, we have enough time to do an ult. Instead, because there's no call, Toy goes ahead, uses Tactical Visor, gets a kill, and then almost dies on his way out, getting nothing else.
That was a good idea at all.
And then afterwards, he starts saying, yeah, that wasn't a good idea at all. Well, no one told him that. No one told him what was going on the low ground. No one told him not to do things.
Yeah.
He could have thought that this was a full fight. I better engage as hard as I can. Imagine if other people did engage, then he would have been in the wrong not to use it. So, yeah.
You could argue common sense, but this is Toy that we're talking about here.
It just like it costs nothing. It costs nothing.
So much,
it costs nothing to make a call. It costs absolutely nothing. No extra major skill is required. You just got to open your mouth and say something, and it can save you
a strategy. And just accepting that you're going to die is a strategy in itself.
And it can save you a Soldier 76 ult. Like that gave you 100% ult charge on Soldier 76 if you just said, "Yeah, we're dying here." Like burn it, burn it, burn it. That's
take top and engage him. I'm gonna push so that we're not left.
And then this is the plan, and this tilts me as well.
Again, you had speed boost that you could just completely jump.
Wait. Let me just play the plan for the stream so they can hear what's happening.
You guys take top and engage them. I'm gonna push so that we're not left like without contesting.
Okay. You guys push top and take them, and I'm going to push the payload so that we're not left without contesting. There's 15 seconds on the clock. The team is already here. Again, Lucio's speed boost is the most crucial tool in engaging. We can't play without it, basically, in this situation. You need this to get into the enemy team as fast as you can, especially in this narrow choke point where you're moving through a tiny frickin' door. You need speed going through that. And not having it is just...
With Farah as well. If Clark had spotted you there, you would have been in trouble. You realise you fucked up, that's fine. That's part of the learning process in Overwatch.
Yep.
You know never to do that again.
That's why we're doing
you scrim
scrims
in the first place.
Exactly. Yeah.
What happened? I left for like 5 seconds.
And I love that he says that. What happened? I left that for like 5 seconds. Yeah, and they all got murdered going through a tiny choke point. Feels bad, man. Okay, that was round 1. So, got under the bridge downtown. Okay, let's go ahead and rejoin Brave 6 AM. The Brave Noble 6 AM team against the dirty, scrounging, horrible OWC team.
I would recommend P. Clark's perspective for the start of this.
Do that then?
For the first point, because he is allowed to do whatever he wanted.
Oh yes, P. Clark is going to do me proud. So let's go. Okay,